Have you ever stopped to think about not just what you drink, but how you drink it? Today, we're cracking open a 1,500-year-old guide to see what it has to say about everything in our glasses, from water and milk all the way to wine and honey.
So our source material here is the Ashtanga Hridya. It's a foundational text in Ayurveda, which is India's traditional system of medicine. It was written to be this perfect summary of much older, more complicated books, neither too short nor too elaborate. And we're zooming in on its 5th chapter, which is all about liquids. It's basically an ancient handbook for your health.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? In our world of oat milk lattes and fancy electrolyte powders, what could a guide this old possibly have to teach us? Well, as you're about to see, the answer is a lot.
Okay, so here's our plan. We're going to start with the most basic thing there is, water. Then we'll get into dairy, sweeteners, and even some ancient wines and oils. And we'll wrap it all up with some practical advice on what to drink and when. First up, the secret life of water. Because in Ayurveda, water is so much more than just H2O. Its qualities can change completely depending on its source, its temperature, and even on the time of day you drink it. The text points to one type of water as the absolute gold standard, gumbul, or pure rainwater. I mean, listen to how it's described. It's like nectar, it's enlivening, it's good for your heart, and it even stimulates your intellect. Now, obviously, this was rainwater from a pristine environment long before modern pollution. And the text draws a really clear line in the sand between good water and bad water. The best stuff is pure, exposed to the sun and wind. Bad water? Well, that's anything mixed with mud or algae, anything that's frothy or thick. So at the end of the day, it's all about purity.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just what you drink, but when. According to this text, drinking water right before you eat can actually lead to weakness. Sipping it during a meal, that's the sweet spot. But chugging it right after a meal, well, that's listed as a potential cause of obesity. Wild, right?
And temperature matters too. The text treats hot and cold water almost like two different medicines. Hot water is for stimulating hunger, helping digestion, and cleansing the bladder. Cold water, on the other hand, is what you'd use to help with things like fainting, intense thirst, or that feeling of exhaustion.
All right, let's move on from water and talk about dairy. The Ayurvedic view here is way more detailed than just milk is good for you. It actually breaks down the specific qualities of milk from a bunch of different animals.
This chart just lays it out so clearly. Cow's milk is seen as this amazing substance that promotes a long life and boosts intelligence. Buffalo milk, that's considered heavier, so it's good for people with really strong digestion or for insomnia. Goat's milk is lighter, almost medicinal, used for things like fever and diarrhea. And then you have camel's milk, which is described as slightly hot and salty and used for inflammation.
And when it comes to curd, or what we would call yogurt, the rules get super specific. The text says, don't eat it at night, never ever heat it, and don't eat it every single day. And if you break these rules, the text warns it could lead to problems like fever, skin issues, even anemia.
Okay, let's talk about the sweet stuff. The Ashtanga Hridya doesn't just see sugarcane and honey as empty calories. No, it treats them as incredibly potent substances with really powerful effects on the body.
Take sugarcane juice. It's described as a natural laxative and a coolant for the body. It's also considered nutritive, meaning it helps build you up, and was even recommended for certain bleeding disorders.
Honey also gets a lot of praise. It's said to be good for your eyes, helps with thirst, and this is fascinating. It's also considered a powerful cleanser for healing wounds when you put it on your skin. But, and this is a huge but, it comes with a major warning.
And here it is. This is maybe the most dramatic line in the entire chapter. The text says, point blank, that heated honey can kill. It's seen as a kind of poison, emphasizing that the act of heating it completely and dangerously changes its properties.
Now for a section you might not expect to find in an ancient health text, wines and oils. It really shows just how comprehensive this guide is. I mean, it even gets into the medicinal properties of things like animal urine.
So the text talks about madhya, which is basically wine and other alcoholic drinks, as having two very different sides. Used correctly in just the right amount, it can actually help with digestion and get deep into the body's tissues. But used any other way, the text is very clear, it acts just like a poison. And we're not just talking about one kind of wine here. The text lays out this whole ancient menu of fermented drinks, each with its own character. You had wine from grapes, from dates, from sugar, and even a kind of mead made from honey. And just to prove how this text covers literally all liquids,
There's a whole section on the medicinal uses of animal urine. We're talking urine from 8 different animals, cows, goats, even elephants, used for things like anemia and skin diseases.
So, after digging into all these details, what's the bottom line? What are the big takeaways? In this last section, we're going to boil it all down to a few key recommendations. So here's a little cheat sheet. Tender coconut water is great for thirst and for cleansing the urinary bladder. Buttermilk is recommended for things like inflammation and anemia. And ghee, or clarified butter, gets praised for boosting intelligence, memory, and eyesight.
And speaking of ghee, you really can't overstate how important it is in this text. It's called the absolute best of all fats. It's said to be capable of producing 1,000 good effects through 1,000 different kinds of preparation. It's just seen as this uniquely powerful and versatile food.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. This ancient text shows us a world where every single liquid has a purpose, a property, and a proper use. So it leaves you with a question, doesn't it? If they saw this much complexity in a simple glass of water, what are we missing in our modern diets?